have from all of you is, what do you understand by unemployment? I want to know from you, what is the meaning of unemployment? If you guys are reading the newspaper on a regular basis, if you are following my alignment analysis on a regular basis, you would know that sometimes, in the news we do get some data related to unemployment rate and all, है ना? So my question to you is, what do you understand by unemployment, and what according to you is unemployment? अच्छा, from 25th August you have regular classes, ठीक है? अभी तो we have a lot of time अभी तो, है ना? From 25th August, okay, fine. Unable to generate income. Shivansh is saying unable to generate income. Okay. Anybody else? Not getting job and you are in working population. Okay. No work for the education studied. Okay. People between age of 16 to 64 who are jobless but willing to work. Okay. Fine. Anybody else? When a person is looking for a job but unable to find a job. Okay, fine. ठीक है सहज. See, unemployment is a situation when firstly a person is willing to work. ठीक है? Person is willing to work. मतलब that person wants to work. He's in the capacity to work. He wants to work. Secondly, that person is able to work. Able to work means that the ability in the sense that they have the capability to work, they have the required skills to work also, they have the skills also to work. It's not that they're lacking the skills and that is why they're not getting work. So people who are willing to work, who are able to work, who are wanting to work at the existing wage rate, they're also willing to work at whatever is the existing wage rate, and still they are not getting work, still they do not get work. That is what is known as unemployment. So unemployment is a situation where a person is willing to work, wanting to work, able to work, has the capability to work, has the required skills to work, plus he is willing to work at the existing wage rate. Whatever the market is offering, that person is saying I will work, but still that person is not getting work. That is what is unemployment. When a person is looking for a job but unable to find a job. Okay, Sahaj? A state where a person is willing and able to work but cannot get suitable employment. Exactly, Raj Lakshmi, absolutely correct. Fine. So it's not like you don't have the capability to work, you have the exact skills. It's not even that you don't want to work, you definitely want to work. You have the ability to work. Plus whatever the employer is offering, you are wanting to work at the existing wage rate also, but still you're still not getting work. That is what is known as unemployment. Unemployment is, yes, an economic problem. Yes, it is an economic problem. But it is also a social problem. Why did I say that unemployment is an economic as well as a social problem? Can anybody tell me why? Why is unemployment a social problem as well as an economic problem? Anybody? Anybody? Why do I say that unemployment is both a social as well as an economic problem? Unemployed are dangerous to society in worst case. How are they dangerous to society, Shivansh? Unemployment, no income, no spending, so it is an economic problem. Okay, then how is it a social problem? How is it a problem for the society? How is it a problem for the society, if I have to ask you? Just we had discussed about poverty also, that poverty is a socio-economic problem. It is an economic problem, it is also a social problem, right? People get discriminated when they are not employed. Okay. Due to caste and financial constraint, unemployed, no money, no healthcare, no education, no good food. It's a social issue. Absolutely correct. Very good. It is an economic issue as they are unable to become assets for a society. Absolutely. Unemployment is an economic problem because it reduces income and national production. It is a social problem because it causes poverty. stress and inequality. Very good, Salvia. In terms of working for the groups that harm peace, Shivansh is saying. Okay. Fine. See, unemployment, yes, we are discussing it in, economic issue, that unemployment is an economic issue, because when you are unemployed, when you are not getting a job, that means you're not able to have income. When you will not be able to generate any kind of income, when you will not be able to generate income, that means you're not adding to the national income of the country. When you're not adding to the national income of the country, then GDP will not increase. GDP will not increase, then economic growth will also not increase. You know? On the other hand, when somebody is unemployed, an unemployed person will not be able to earn income. And income we write with Y in economics, okay? So you will not have enough income. If you are not going to have enough income, you will not be able to afford basic health, basic education. Right? You will live in slum kind of areas. You will live in unhygienic conditions. And that will lead to poverty, and poverty in itself is a socio-economic problem. You tend to remain poor then. There you get prone to diseases and all of these things. Plus, you might have seen that, because of unemployment, because when people are not able to get jobs and all, their mind is not utilized in the correct direction. People's mind, people's skills are not utilized in the right direction, and that is why terrorism also erupts. That is why cross-border terrorism erupts. That's when drug abuse and everything, all of these things happen. Trafficking happens. People move towards illegal activities because they're not able to utilize their resources, they're not able to utilize their own skills in productive things, they're not able to enhance the productivity of the economy. So unemployment is both an economic problem as well as social problem. That is why sometimes in your syllabus under the social issues part, unemployment will be written rather than in your economic issues part. है ना? Right? I understood, Shivansh, what you were trying to say. That is why I asked you specifically that, how are they dangerous to the society? Because we bolte na, there's this saying in Hindi, khali dimag shaitan ka ghar hota hai, if you guys have heard of it. So when your mind is not in the right direction, you might have seen sometimes when you are so lonely, when you have nothing to do, and you're at home, you're alone, then you think all the worst things in your life, but when you're busy, you are doing something, then those things don't really occur to you. This happens in normal general life also, sometimes when you are studying also, abhi what you guys are doing is you are studying, although you are involved in studying and everything. I'm 100% sure you guys are working really hard for your examination, but still this is studying. This is not like your brain your brain does not perceive studying, self study as a work, I would say. So sometimes what happens is that your brain, you think all the bad things in the world, you think all the bad things in the world, every negative thing you're going to think, है ना, कि पता नहीं मेरा पेपर होगा नहीं होगा, I am getting confused, I am not able to do this, I'm not able to do this, I have so much to study, where should I start? I mean, every day you must be studying something, and all of a sudden, there's going to be something in mind, yaar, what am I doing? Am I even in the right direction? I don't know this. Then you'll see a video of somebody teaching you something, ये तो मुझे पता ही नहीं था, I didn't know this only, है ना? So that is what happens, and that's because your brain does not take studying as very productive kind of an asset, and I completely understand that, and that is the feeling when you have but when you're working for someone, when you're earning money, your brain gets a different kind of reward, and at that point of time you are elated also, you're happy also, you are satisfied also, although when you study, when you are doing your work, when you are studying, when you are giving mock tests and everything, that is very that is considered as productive only, but it turns out to be unproductive in your mind, so I understand that. That is why I say that unemployment is definitely an economic problem, and it is also a social problem. And social problem, everybody understands what kind of a social problem. ठीक है? Fine. So unemployment is one reason why poverty also erupts. Poverty is one reason why unemployment is also there. Okay, so everything is interrelated, right? Fine. So unemployment is a situation where a person is able and willing to work, but is unable to find a paid job. So the person is not, able to get a job only. So pehle we used to have NSSO, National Sample Survey Organization, NSSO, National Sample Survey Organization. How did they define activity status of an individual? So if you are working, and you're engaged in any kind of economic activity, if you are engaged in any kind of economic activity, you will be considered as employed. But if you are not engaged in any economic activity, but you are seeking work, plus you are available for work, then you will be considered as unemployed. Okay? When you're not engaged in any economic activity, but you are looking for work. And third kind of person is neither seeking nor available for work. Okay? When unemployment is very high, it is a signal of economic stress in a economy. Okay? Fine. Actually, there is this formula of calculating unemployment rate. How do you calculate unemployment rate? Unemployed people upon labor force into 100. Okay? Now my question over here is, again I have another question from all of you. What do you understand by labor force? What do you think is labor force? What kind of population does labor force include? If a person is not willing, then he or she will not be considered unemployed in the literal sense. But if a person is not willing to work, then there is a type of unemployment, Naisha, which is called voluntary unemployment. So in the literal sense, that is not unemployment, but if you actually see it in economic sense, then it will be considered as unemployed only. And for example, if you guys are not working because you are studying, because you're not willing to work right now, you are studying and you want to clear an examination, and then you want to become employed. So that is known as voluntary unemployment. When you are not willing to work, you have the capacity to work, you want to also work in future, and you have the capacity to work, you have the skills to work, you have the required qualifications to work also, and once you're ready, you will work at the existing wage rate also. But right now you are willing to give yourself some time, you are willing to study, you are wanting to have a government job. That is why you're not studying. So you are voluntarily unemployed. You choose to be unemployed right now. Right? Okay, Naisha? All the ones part of primary, secondary and tertiary sector, unemployed plus employed, actual working capable people, I guess, ma'am. Right. So let's try and understand this with a diagram. Right? For example, this is the total population. Let's say this is the total population, and say total population is 1000. Okay? Out of this, if I remove the dependent population, say 200 people are dependent, and by dependent I mean the old people who are above 64 years of age, and the children who are less than 14 years of age, or you can say less than 15 years of age. Okay? These are dependents. That means for consuming, for living, for affording basic necessities, they are dependent on someone. Right? The children are dependent on their parents, and the old age people, they are dependent on their children. So these are the dependents. Say 200 are the dependents. Now, if out of the total population, I remove this dependents part, then I get labor force. Now, labor force is divided into two parts. Employed and unemployed people. Or in simple terms, labor force is the working age population. Working age population is the labor force. Now, in that working age population, some might be working, some might be not working. But yes, they are in this age group, which is 15 to 64 years of age group they belong, and they are in the capacity to work and earn for themselves. Fine. So with this diagram you have to remember. So how you can remember is labor force is total population minus dependents. Labor force is also employed plus unemployed people in a society. Labor force is also the working age population in a country between 15 to 64 years of age. So whenever you're going to find out the unemployment rate, you have to divide the unemployed people divided by labor force into 100. unemployed people upon labor force into 100. Yes, you were right, Naisha. You were absolutely correct. That is how labor force is defined, employed and unemployed people. Okay? And since it is unemployment rate, that is why it is divided into 100. Okay? To find out rate, we divide it into 100. So how many people are unemployed? Out of the total labor force, out of the working age population, how many people are unemployed? That is how we get to know the unemployment rate. Okay? Fine. This is how you calculate the unemployment rate. Now we have types of unemployment. Does anyone know the different types of unemployment? Any idea, anything that you might have heard before or in newspapers or anywhere or studied in your junior classes? Anybody? Types of unemployment. Any type of unemployment that you are aware of? I think I have talked about type of unemployment in one of my previous classes also, maybe in when I was doing poverty or something, or maybe when I was talking about primary sector. So I've talked about some types of unemployment. If you know any, please let me know. So Kiran is saying seasonal, voluntary, very good. So we have seasonal unemployment. Somebody has written voluntary unemployment also, right? What else? We have disguised unemployment, absolutely. Voluntary unemployment, voluntary I've written, and I'm going to write disguised unemployment. One second. Okay. Right. So you are saying disguised unemployment. Absolutely correct. What else? Disguised is done. We have seasonal, I've written. Disguised, I've written. Structural, frictional. Very good, Naisha. So we have structural unemployment also. We have frictional unemployment also. Very good. Frictional unemployment also. What else? We have cyclical unemployment, right? Structural, disguise, cyclical. Okay. So we have cyclical unemployment also. Okay. Then can I write involuntary unemployment also? There's involuntary unemployment. There is going to be open unemployment as well. There's going to be, you might have heard of graduate unemployment. Graduate unemployment. You might have heard about youth unemployment. Youth unemployment. Rural unemployment. Urban unemployment. What else? What else can you think of? Seasonal, voluntary, disguised, structural, frictional, cyclical, involuntary, voluntary. Voluntary I've written, open unemployment, graduate, youth, rural, urban, underemployment also. There's something known as underemployment also. Then there's something known as regional unemployment also. Regional unemployment. All these are types of unemployment. Yes, definitely, Rajalakshmi. Underemployment is also type of unemployment. Regional also very good. Yes, Naisha, under also. Technological unemployment. Seasonal, yes, technological unemployment. That we are going to club with structural unemployment only. Okay? Technological, we are going to club with your structural unemployment only. Okay? Now let's try and understand each of these one by one. Okay? First we have cyclical unemployment. Can anybody tell me, again I have another question from all of you. Can anybody tell me what do you understand by business cycles? Any idea what are business cycles? Anybody? What do you understand by business cycles? Yes, Nehal, we'll come to all of those. Don't worry. Let's go one by one. Let's go step by step. Okay? We'll understand the difference between graduate, youth, voluntary, involuntary. We're going to understand this. Okay? Just have some patience. So, anybody, do you know what are business cycles? Any idea what are business cycles? Yes, boom, recession, depression, recovery. Very good. Very good. Anybody else? Trough, grow, peak, contraction. Okay, Kiran. No, this I know. Okay, there are these are known as phases of business cycles. But what exactly are business cycles? Like school uniform during school reopening is more than less throughout the year. I don't understand. Muhez, I do not understand. Downfall and upward of business activity, Naisha. Time period or one accounting year. Not exactly. A periodic expansion and contraction of economic activity. Absolutely, Rajalakshmi. Very good. Starting stage, growing, high, peak. Okay. Chalo, let's understand. If you're going to understand with a real life example, okay? Just imagine that you have decided how your life is going to be. Okay? You are, say, you right now you're in class 12th. When you're in class 12th, what is in your mind? Acha, now I have cleared class 12th. Now I'll do my bachelor's. I'll do my bachelor's. Then I'm going to do my master's. Then I'm going to get a job. And then I'm going to get married. And then I'm going to have kids. Then I'm going to, you know, uh, do international trips, and then I'm gonna grow old. ऐसे करके ना, you have always decided a path for yourself, right? You've always decided a smooth path for yourself, wherein you have things in your mind कि अच्छा, my life is going to be like this. My life is going to be in such a smooth manner. So you have that in your mind, right? Right, that is your ultimate and your equilibrium kind of state in mind. कि अच्छा, I'm going to do this, then I'm going to do that, then I'm going to do this. But what happens in reality? What happens in reality? Life is never so smooth, right? Life never moves in this smooth manner. There are always going to be ups and downs in our life, है ना? Some whatever we have thought that our life is going to be in this direction, it usually does not go in that direction. Sometimes maybe you'll fall ill. Maybe, like you're giving exams, you must be thinking, "Achha, I'm going to do my bachelor's, then I'm going to do my master's, then I'm going to clear this examination, then I will be an officer, then I'm going to marry an officer." ऐसे ऐसे करके. But maybe you're not able to clear the exam in the first attempt. Maybe not even in the second attempt. Maybe not even in the third attempt. And finally, maybe in the fourth attempt. Right? Maybe you just fall ill and you're not able to just prepare. You're not able to do things in life like you had already decided. So there's always going to be ups and downs in your life. Similarly, if I have to talk about an economy can never go in such a smooth manner. Although we have an ideal kind of understanding in our mind, by this year we are going to achieve this position, then by this year we're going to become this, then by 2047 we are going to become a Viksit Bharat. But economics or economies, they do not move in such a smooth path. There are always going to be ups and downs. There's going to be a pandemic here which is going to disrupt everything. There's going to be AI which is going to disrupt so many jobs. There's going to be demonetization. There's going to be GST related issue. There's going to be war in the Middle East. There's going to be tariffs put up by Trump, which is going to actually which is going to actually cause fluctuations in an economy, right? So those fluctuations in the economy, which leads to fluctuations in the business activity, which leads to ups and downs in an economy, those are known as business cycles. So any situation that disrupts the smooth flow in an economy, any up and down, any situation which leads to disruption in an economy, that is what is known as business cycle. Okay, fine. That is what is known as business cycle. Now there are different phases of business cycle, like all of you are telling me. For example, the first phase over here, this is your recovery. The second phase is your expansion. The third phase is your peak, which is also known as boom. Then comes the fourth phase, which is called contraction, which is also known as recession. Then comes the fifth phase, which is called depression. and then finally the sixth phase, which is called trough. So these are the phases of business cycles, right? Sometimes the economy is doing really well, so you're in the boom period, you're expansion. Sometimes you're not doing well, so there's a recession period, there's depression period. So these are what is known as business cycles. Now, when people lose their jobs, and they become unemployed due to such business activities, due to these business cycles, that is what is known as cyclical unemployment. When individuals they lose their jobs as a result as a result of a downturn in aggregate demand, when there is contraction or depression phase. That means there are cyclical fluctuations in the economy, and because of that they are becoming unemployed. That kind of a situation is known as cyclical unemployment. Okay? And cyclical unemployment is also known as Keynesian unemployment, because it was John Maynard Keynes who had given this concept, who had talked about business cycles. Okay? Global market crash can be one such problem. Exactly. Global market crash can be one such problem. We are living in such an integrated world, in such a globalized world, that anything which is happening outside of the country, it penetrates to different countries. It penetrates to our countries. For example, it was the global economic recession of 2008, the financial recession of 2008. It started in the US, but it impacted India very, very heavily. And after 2008, only Basel 3 norms were introduced. And after adequately implementing those Basel 3 norms, if you see the current situation of India, we are quite resilient today. Our banking sector is quite resilient, because all of those buffers and all of those decisions which were taken in the Basel 3 accord which was signed, or the Basel 3 norms, we have been implementing it very robustly. That is one reason why we are doing well. That is one reason why our banking sector, our financial sector is quite resilient. If you read all the RBI bulletins, if you read about RBI rated circulars and all, RBI bulletins, RBI rated any documents, or the annual report, or uh, sessions that I have been taking up from time to time related to RBI and all, and usme you get an idea about our banking sector. And in all of those, I've been taking it since last year now, and monthly bulletins. So in every bulletin, we say that our banking sector is very, very resilient. Our financial sector is very, very resilient. So cyclical unemployment is when, because of these business cycles, or these fluctuations in the economy, when there is unemployment, that is known as cyclical unemployment. Okay? This is the first type of unemployment. Then we have structural unemployment. Again, very, very important. Structural unemployment happens when there are structural issues. When there are structural issues in an economy, that is when structural unemployment happens. Structural issues. For example, let me give you an example. When there were typewriters, people used to work, and they had good amount of jobs if they knew how to use a typewriter. The typewriter got replaced by computers. Typewriters were replaced by computers, but these people who were working on typewriters, they do not know how to use the computer. So they were jobless now. Why were they jobless? Because jobs were there. Jobs were there for those who knew how to use a computer. Jobs were there. But the people who were supplying the job, they did not have the exact skills which are needed. So when there is going to be a skill gap in the economy, when whatever skills the people are supplying, it is not needed by the industry, it is not needed only in the economy, when this gap persists, that is a structural issue, and that leads to structural unemployment. That kind of situation leads to structural unemployment in an economy. When there are long-term changes in market conditions, for example, you must have seen so many times you must have seen that AI is going to take away so many jobs. AI is going to disrupt so many jobs. Yes, AI will disrupt so many jobs, but AI will also create many jobs. It will displace many jobs, but only those kind of jobs which are which can be automated very easily. But AI is also going to create jobs, provided that these people upskill themselves, reskill themselves, and they're able to provide the skills which actually are required. So if AI is going to displace people, it is also going to create jobs. It is also going to create more jobs. Right? So AI is bringing a structural change in an economy, a long-term change in an economy, a structural change in the economy. AI is bringing that. Right? So until and unless the people upskill themselves, change whatever change their perception, then if they learn new things, educate themselves, create more awareness, then they will be able to not get displaced due to change in structure but lack of skills. Yes, exactly. No, AI cannot replace RBI officers, definitely not. AI cannot. See, AI is going to basically take away the automation tasks, things which can be automated, basic things, which can easily be done by AI, but judgment, decision making, all of that has to be taken up by humans. Right, Salvia? So no, they will not replace, they are going to complement RBI officers, but they are not going to replace RBI officers. Okay? Don't worry, keep preparing. Right? So structural unemployment, when there is a mismatch. Structural unemployment happens when there is a mismatch between the skills which are required by the industry and which is supplied by the people. When there is a mismatch in that, when there is a skill gap, this is one major problem in India today. This is one major problem in India today, right? Yes, AI can do things, supervision should be done by humans. Exactly, because AI does not have any human emotions and judgment is not there with AI. AI does not have that kind of judgment power which humans have. And decision making is because of judgment, which is going to be done only by humans. है ना? Right? So yes, AI will displace jobs, but it is also going to create jobs. So it depends on the people whether they are able to upskill themselves or not. Fine? I hope this is clear. So this is structural unemployment. Then we have regional unemployment. Next is your regional unemployment. When unemployment is a phenomenon in a particular region only, in a particular region, that is regional unemployment. When it is in the local areas only, है ना? When it is in the local areas only, that is considered as regional unemployment. ठीक है? It is concentrated in a particular region, that is regional unemployment. Then we have something known as classical unemployment. We have classical unemployment. This classical unemployment happens when wages are very, very high. So what do people say over here is that people are demanding higher wages. है ना? People are demanding higher wages and they are not accepting lower wages. They are not accepting lower wages. ठीक है? People, they are they want high wages and they are not ready to accept lower wages. And obviously, if I am a producer, if I am an industrialist, if people are asking very, very high wages, I am going to employ less people. है ना? I'm going to employ less people. If people are demanding very, very high salaries, I'm going to just keep less number of people. I'm going to hire less number of people. That means what am I trying to say is I am trying to blame those who are not accepting lower wages. So when workers, because they are not accepting lower wages, that is the reason why they are unemployed, and this kind of unemployment is known as classical unemployment. ठीक है? Fine. These kind of people, this kind of unemployment is known as classical unemployment. This is also known as real wage unemployment. This is also known as real wage unemployment. Alright. Then we have seasonal unemployment. Seasonal unemployment is related to a particular season only. For example, ice cream parlor. Mostly ice creams are available when there are summers. In winters, not really required. So seasonal unemployment is when people are employed only for a particular season. है ना? Certain industries, they can distribute their products only in certain times of the year. Otherwise, they don't have any demand only. For example, you can talk about tourism also, tourist places. Tourist places. For example, you can go to places like Ladakh when, maybe in June, maybe in May, when it is not very cold. But you cannot go to Ladakh in, say, December or January. It's going to be extremely cold over there. है ना? Right? For example, construction. For example, farming, agriculture sector, you can say. If they have sown the seeds, then for 6 months or 9 months, whatever is going to be the gestation period or the time period, you will be unemployed in that period. है ना? So seasonal unemployment when you're employed only in a particular season. ठीक है? Then comes frictional unemployment. You tell me, does anyone know what is frictional unemployment? Can anybody tell me what is frictional unemployment? Any idea what is frictional unemployment? Anybody? What is frictional unemployment? Anyone? Unemployment during job change. Okay. Anyone else? See, frictional is temporary kind of unemployment. है ना? Frictional is temporary kind of unemployment, and it is also known as surge unemployment. It is also known as surge unemployment. When you are switching between jobs, that is what is called frictional unemployment. You have given up your current job and now you're looking for another job. This kind of a situation is known as frictional unemployment. Okay, for example, you were employed in a particular job, but then you got pregnant and you took you took break for a year, and now you are looking for another job, like that. Okay, that is frictional unemployment, right? Then we have open unemployment. See, open unemployment, is a situation when a large section of labor force does not get a job. A large amount of population is not getting a job with regular income. Okay, so the people are able to work, they are willing to work also, but work is only not available for them. Maybe because of a particular situation. Work is only not available for them. That is open unemployment. Okay. Then we have voluntary unemployment, like we had already discussed before. Voluntary unemployment when you are not willing to work right now, not willing to work at the equilibrium or the existing wage rate. When you choose yourself not to work, maybe you are preparing for some examination, maybe because of some family issue, or maybe you're taking a break or something. There can be any reasons. That is voluntary unemployment. On the other hand, we have involuntary unemployment, where you are willing to work but you're not getting work. Willing to work but not getting work. That is involuntary. Now, somebody had asked me a question, what is the difference between graduate unemployment and voluntary unemployment? Graduate unemployment is that you have graduated and you're not getting work, either voluntarily or involuntarily. Okay, so voluntary is only a part. So even after graduation, if after graduation you're not yourself willing to work, that is also known as voluntary or graduate unemployment. And graduate unemployment will be known as when you're not getting job only. You are graduated, still you're not getting a good enough job. Right? So it can be voluntary and involuntary both when you are a graduate. Now, so voluntary unemployment and classical, they're almost same. Yes. No, not classical. Classical mein kya tha? Classical mein it was that you are not willing to accept lower wage. You want higher wages only. You are not willing to accept lower wages. The main situation over here is wages. That that labor, maybe the labor, they have made a labor union or a trade union, and in that union they have decided that they are not going to accept 50,000 less than 50,000 of wages. The trade union has only decided. So that is why they are not really employed. In case of voluntary unemployment, you're just not willing to work, and that reason can be anything. Maybe you're not satisfied with the money that you're getting right now, so you're willing to wait. Or maybe you are taking a break from work, or maybe you choose not to work because you're preparing for an exam, like that is voluntary unemployment. So voluntary unemployment can have many reasons. So the difference between voluntary and graduate unemployment is clear to you. Somebody had asked me, I think, who had asked me this question? I think Shivansh had asked me this question. I don't know. पता नहीं कहाँ चल गया अब वो. But somebody had asked. हाँ, Snehal had asked me, not Shivansh. Snehal had asked me what is the difference in graduate and voluntary. So graduate is when you have graduated, you have done your graduation and you're not getting work only. That is graduate unemployment. हो सकता है that after graduation some are not willing to work only. That is why they are unemployed. But some people are not getting work also even after graduation. So both kind of situations are included in this. Is that clear, Snehal? Is that clear, Snehal, or not? Please just let me know. Manchi, is your question also clear? Voluntary and classical. What's the difference between voluntary and classical? Is it clear? Manchi says clear. Snehal, just you also confirm whether it's clear or not. Alright. Then we have underemployment. Underemployment is a situation when you have the skills, you have the qualifications, but you're working way less than your qualification. That is what is called underemployment. So you are capable of working, even better, but you are not getting that kind of work. For example, you have done a PhD, but you are working like a clerk. That means you are highly underpaid. Based on the qualifications that you have, based on the skills that you have, you are not getting that kind of work. Okay? That is underemployment. It can be visible in your wages and all, and it can be invisible, underemployed, which is not very visible to you. It looks like you're doing good amount of job, but you're not getting the right wages. So maybe you have done PhD and you are working like a professor, but you're not getting adequate. Say you're only getting 12,000 per month. So based on your qualifications, you are a professor, but it is invisible. Invisibly, you are unemployed. Your wages are very less. If you have done a PhD and you're working like a clerk, this is visible unemployment, visible underemployment. Okay? Then we have disguised unemployment. Disguised unemployment is when the marginal productivity of labor is 0. For example, this is a field and 10 people are working on this field and they are producing 100 units of output, for example. Okay? If I remove 5 people from here, still if I remove 5 people from here, still the rest of the 5 people are able to produce 100 units of output only. That means these extra 5 people, they look like they are employed, but actually they are not employed because they are not adding anything to the productivity only. Their productivity is 0. Marginal productivity means per unit productivity that they are adding is 0, because even if you remove them, still only 100 units of output are being produced. These kind of people are known as disguisedly unemployed, and mostly these are seen in this is seen in the agriculture sector. When you look like you are employed, you look like you are working on the field, but in reality you are not really working. You're just passing time on that field. That is disguised unemployment, where the marginal productivity of labor is 0. Okay? Then we have chronic unemployment. Chronic, what do you mean of chronic disease and all? Long term. Chronic unemployment is long term unemployed. So when unemployment becomes a long term feature of an economy, that kind of a situation is known as chronic unemployment. And chronic unemployment is seen in underdeveloped countries or least developed countries. And these kind of countries, they suffer from vicious cycle of poverty, like we had discussed in the poverty chapter. Okay? So this is what is known as chronic unemployment. Okay? Fine. So these are the types of unemployment. Okay? Okay. So we can add a few over here. We can add chronic unemployment here. We can add your what do you call it? Classical unemployment here, है ना? So all of these we've done. So we've done seasonal, voluntary, disguised, structural, frictional, cyclical, involuntary. Open unemployment we've done. Graduate, I've told you that you have graduated, still you're not getting work. Youth, you are very young. You're in your 20s and all. You're not still not getting work. That is what we talk about. The protests, the NEET protests and all. That was for the youth only, है ना? Rural unemployment is found in the rural areas, है ना? When I talk about rural unemployment, it is in the rural areas. When I talk about urban unemployment, it is in the urban areas. So when we talk about area specific, that is rural and urban areas. Underemployment we've done. Regional employment, unemployment which is specific to a particular region. Chronic unemployment, long term. Classical we've seen, and all of these we have seen. Please let me know in the comment section whether these types of unemployment are clear to all of you or not. Quickly let me know, give me a thumbs up. Ha, just like diabetes, exactly, Salvia. Absolutely correct. Okay, so just a second, my camera just went off. 1 second, okay? Okay. Clear now, everyone? Chalo, theek hai. Most of you have written, it's clear. Why aren't the others writing? Is it not clear to others? Kiran, Arushi, Rajlakshmi, Naisha, Arush, Salvia, Snehal. These people have said clear. There are still around, how many people have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 people have given me, and there are 7 other people who have not written if it's clear or not. Moesh is saying clear, then Shivansh is also saying clear. Sej is also saying clear. Theek hai. Chalo. Now let's talk about causes of unemployment, and who is going to tell me in the comment section what are the causes of unemployment? What are the causes of unemployment? I want to know from you first and then we'll discuss. Achha, do you have a class at 10? Do you guys have a class at 10 or not? Is this yes for class? Acha, you have current affairs class. Oh, so it's 9:55. We had to do more. But we had to only do causes abhi to, hai na? Bas causes hi bache the, and then a few MCQs were left. Types done, causes done. Okay, let's do the causes of unemployment. I'll take 5 minutes. Hai na? Causes of unemployment can be any. Causes of unemployment can be any. You can write n number of causes. A few of those causes are over here. For example, when there is rapid increase in population growth. So when population increases rapidly, it leads to pressure on the existing resources, right? And it leads to unemployment. When there is slow economic growth, then jobs are only not generated because production is not going to be done. Economic growth is only slow. People are not demanding only. So producers are also going to produce less. If they will produce less, they will not hire workers only. So slow economic growth is also a reason for unemployment. When you're using obsolete technology, old technology, inappropriate technology, that also leads to unemployment. Backwardness in agriculture sector, you're not trying to modernize only, so new jobs are not only creating. Immobility of labor, labor is not able to move from one industry to the other industry or one sector to the other sector. Seasonal nature of agriculture sector, that leads to unemployment. In a particular time frame you are employed and other times you are unemployed. Then when you're illiterate, you have lack of awareness, you have lack of education. That also leads to unemployment. Poverty is another cause of unemployment, and you can write n number of causes under your unemployment. You can write n number of causes. Slow economic growth, population growth, recession, very good. Population growth, caste system can lead to unemployment, exactly. And the rigid caste system that we have. The rigid caste system that we have. That is another issue which leads to unemployment. And you can write so many types, so many problems. Okay, fine. Right, everyone. So there are a few MCQs that I wanted to do with you. How much time is left? We still have 3 minutes. Let's quickly do the MCQs, okay? First question. Dash is the percent of the labor force that is without work. Population rate, employment rate, job rate, unemployment rate, or none of the above. Let's quickly do the MCQs and then we'll end the session, okay? We still have 3 minutes, and obviously the class also does not start immediately at 10 p.m. only, na? I think sir or ma'am, whoever takes your class, you will have 2-3 minutes later only, na? So quickly just give me the answer. Absolutely correct. So unemployment, the percentage of labor force that is without work. Dash exists because certain industries only produce or distribute their products at certain times of the year. Frictional, seasonal, cyclical, open, under. When that kind of producer is only producing their product at certain times of the year. Acha, if in case you wish to leave the class right now before doing MCQs only, do not forget to give your feedback as well as rating, okay? Do not forget to give your feedback and rating. Hanji. So what is the answer for this question? Absolutely correct. Seasonal unemployment. Very good. The Rangarajan Committee for Poverty Estimation was constituted in which year? 1990, 2010, 1998, 2012 or 1999? So I told you that constitution of the committee is another year, and finally when the report is released, that is another year. So Rangarajan Committee I am talking about here. So when was it constituted? Not when the report was released, when it was constituted. Nah, not 2010. It was constituted in 2012 and the report we got in 2014. Okay? Report released in 2014, constituted in 2012. Okay? Chalo, next question number 4. The Multi-Dimensional Poverty Index was launched by UNDP along with Dash in the year 2000. UNDP and whom? Was it IMF? Was it OECD, World Health Organization, OPHI or World Bank? MPI, global MPI. I'm talking about global MPI. Global MPI is published by your UNDP and along with that whom? OECD. Arushi. No, not OECD. Anybody else? No, Arush, not OECD. Yes, OPHI. Okay? So it is Oxford Poverty and Human Development Initiative. Your answer is 4 here. Oxford you haven't revised that means, hai na? You guys have not revised that means. So it is OPHI, Oxford Poverty Human Development Initiative and UNDP. You haven't revised the poverty part, that is why you are forgetting. What is the meaning of Gini coefficient? Statistical measure of economic inequality in population. Measures rate of inflation among the developed economies. Used to measure absolute poverty. It is measured on a scale of -10 to +10. None of the above are correct. You guys haven't revised, please revise it, okay? That is why such kind of surprise questions I'm going to bring in to check whether you guys know or not. Excuse me. Yes, it's a statistical measure of economic inequality. Absolutely correct. When unemployment tends to be a long-term feature of a country, it is called chronic, seasonal, open, under, or none of the above. What kind of unemployment? Absolutely correct. Chronic unemployment, right? Unemployment caused by mismatch between workers' skills and skills demanded by the recruiters is called structural, cyclical, open, seasonal, or none of the above. When there's a mismatch between the skills. Absolutely. Structural unemployment, when there's a skill gap, right? So that is all from my side, everyone. Thank you so much. Here's a question for practice purposes. What do you mean by unemployment? Discuss the current scenario of unemployment in India and identify the causes. You can wait to answer this question because we are going to first do measurement of unemployment and then you try and answer. Okay, let's leave this question right now. Once we complete the entire chapter, then you can write this answer. Okay, so please let me know whether everything is clear or not. If there is any doubt, write down in the comment section and tell me, everyone. And when you leave, do provide your feedback as well as rating, because your feedback and rating means a lot. So we teachers are judged based on your feedback and your rating. Okay? So on the top right corner, there's going to be a thumbs up sign. If you have understood, if you like this session, if everything is clear, then definitely give your feedback as well as rating. Okay? Fine, everything clear? Chalo, fine then. We're going to meet up in the next session, everyone. Take care of yourselves, and I am going to see you in the next session. You guys can connect with me on Telegram also if there is any doubt and you want to discuss anything. Mannat Educator is my Telegram handle. Okay, fine. So that is all. Ma'am, please kindly reply to my message on Telegram. Okay, you have messaged me on Telegram. I know you've sent me a message. Alright, I'll read it and reply you. Okay, Snehal, Manshi, Muhes, everybody, Salvia, Arush, Rajlakshmi, Harushi, Naisha, Snehal. Fine then. Good night, everyone. Take care of yourselves, and I'm going to see you all in my next one. Keep studying. Wish you all the best and take care. Okay? Chalo. Bye bye.